I am somebody. Three simple words that are so powerful. Many of us today were saddened as we awoke to the news that Reverend Jesse Jackson had passed. Reverend Jackson had been on the forefront of the battlefield for over the last 6 decades, you could say. I would think it'd be close to 6 decades. You know, you got to think he goes back to like Dr. Martin Luther King, also Andrew Young, and Ralph Abernathy, those guys. This guy meant so much to the black community, and not only to the black community, but also to the international community. You know, that he will truly be missed. So I want to talk about the significance and the importance of Jesse Jackson and his life, what he meant to not only the black community, but also the community at large, the international community, if you will. Reverend Jackson now, whether you know it or not, this guy is one of our homegrown heroes. I'm here in South Carolina. Jesse Jackson is also from South Carolina, I think from Greenville. Jesse Jackson often talked about how he grew up poor, and his mother had to go to work with holes in her stockings, and that may have been somewhat unacceptable in some people's views. But he talked about how she had runs on her stockings, and but she sacrificed that so that they could have matching socks, and so that they wouldn't be made fun of at school or feel lesser than and stuff. Because you know how cruel kids can be sometimes. Now, Jesse, of course, was a dynamic orator. We know about that. We know about his presidential run. He ran twice, once in '84 and once in '88. And I think, had his timing, I think, the timing just wasn't right. America wasn't ready at that time to elect a black man as president of the United States. But his run and that of somebody like Shirley Chisholm ran before him. Shirley Chisholm ran in the '70s. But, and also with her, America also wasn't ready for, like being a woman in America at that time, and probably maybe to a degree, somewhat today. It's like being black twice. So they weren't ready for her. But Jesse Jackson had a much more successful run than her, even though neither one of them culminated in a nomination. But Jesse Jackson's political aspirations carved the way for what would come, just 20 years later, after his last run, in 2008, when Barack Obama was elected president of the United States. And, we all remember one of the images I remember most about Jesse. One of the images I remember is him crying on election night. The tears rolling down his eyes, like he and Barack Obama had a somewhat contentious relationship at times. Just was caught on a hot mic saying some things that he regretted saying and stuff. At the end of the day, Jesse Jackson was human like the rest of us, and he made some gaffes along the way, some mistakes along the way. But overall, this was a great man. If you want to talk about what he meant to the international community, just think about all the hostages that Jesse was able to negotiate release for. I can't think of them by name, but I know that there was also a rapper who went to another country and messed up, and Jesse negotiated his release also. So it's sad that sometimes people are respected more abroad than they are here, particularly black people. You think about in the what 30s and 40s, 50s, whatever. How many like you think about these artists like Josephine Baker and some of these other artists that went to live abroad because they were just so tired of dealing with the racism in America. And this thing that happened with this death of Jesse today is very significant because this is Black History Month, but you know we know that the struggle still goes on even now. The struggle is still very real, and Jesse, you know, at the end, Jesse was in kind of poor health due to Parkinson's, but Jesse fought a good fight, fought on as long as he could, and I just hope that he will, be remembered as someone who stood for equality and civil rights for all, equal opportunities for everyone, because one of the things that's often overlooked about the civil rights struggle and stuff is that like with Dr. King, the work that Dr. King was trying to do, Dr. King was trying to show poor whites in the South, particularly that and blacks, that we have a common problem that if we work together, we could come up with a solution. Unfortunately, many people didn't get the message, and sadly, some of our black folks didn't get the message either. You think about with Dr. King, one of his attackers, a woman who made a murder attempt on him, was a black woman. And sometimes, like we have the enemy within, But Jesse's work went along those same lines, trying to unite people. I often hear people talk about it being about the struggle for civil rights being one-sided, unilateral, if you want to call it, but it's just like like you take like the KKK and other groups like that, like it's because of Dr. King's struggle that they're able to protest, march down the street or whatever they want to do, have these parades, whatever they want to do. It's because of Dr. King and Dr. Jackson, not Dr. Reverend Jackson's efforts that they have the right to do that, however offensive we may find that. So civil rights is like for everyone, but people just don't get, sometimes people just don't get the message and stuff. And, I look at America now, how divided we are. I think we're more divided now than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. And it's sad because this is too crucial a time for us to sow these seeds of division among us and stuff. It's too crucial a time, and we're falling behind in the world. The United States as a country is, and it's just sad because I look at some of the stuff that's going on now. With Jesse probably 15 or 20 years younger, Jesse would have been at the forefront of these struggles too, like the struggles, like the stuff that's going on with immigration and stuff now, the ICE and the Border Patrol or whatever. He'd have been at the forefront of that struggle also. And so the passing of Jesse leaves now the question of who's going to take the mantle and step up and lead us now. Jesse now hasn't, as I said, hasn't been really active in quite a while. He's been, I'm sure he's been looking at things quietly from behind the scenes and stuff, but he hasn't really been active at the forefront of the battle. Has been in the heat of battle. So now the question is, who will step up now and continue the work started by Dr. King and others, and continued by Jesse. Who do we have now that will do that work? And we need to all be about doing that work to the best of our efforts. If it's nothing but just making people aware of what's going on, because we can bury our heads in the sand and just hope stuff goes away, but that's not going to solve anything. That's not going to make anything go away. So if I could say anything to Jesse, and if he can hear me from the great beyond or whatever, I would say thank you for those 3 words, I am somebody. Thank you for those 3 words that inspired a little boy, or an adolescent, whatever I was, when I heard those words. And because we often need to hear those words, because we got a world that at times seemingly seems to say otherwise. So it is, my hope that Reverend Jackson will be remembered for his efforts, and that the fight will be taken up by us all. In the meantime, Reverend Jesse Jackson, yours was a life well lived. May you rest in power. And that's my message for today. Peace be upon you. I'm out.